Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the Free-to-Play Cast, kicking it off in 2020 with episode 324, brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. I'm your host, Mike Byrne. We're recording on January 10th. You're watching it on that same day or later, and we've got our review of our predictions for 2019, and we'll take a look at some sales for the year. We got a lot of Magic Legends information to go through. Game Informer's been dropping some exclusive content over the last day or two, and we had some details the previous week as well, so I can't wait to get into that. And yeah, free-to-play's dying, right? We'll take a look at how free-to-play's doing across the revenue spectrum. Joining me in the new year to go through all of it, Mr. Jason Winter. What's up, sir?
Oh, what's up? On Monday, I climbed a mountain.
Well, that's cool.
Ooh. On Tuesday, I threw up on a plane.
That not so cool.
No, that wasn't as cool. And Wednesday and Thursday, bleh.
Ugh.
And I'm still kind of bleh, but you know.
All of that aside, you know, was there some good going on Christmas and New Year's and everything?
You know, some good, some bad.
Did you get any cool gaming gifts? Nobody answered that question of the week. Nobody got any gaming-related things or gave any gaming-related things.
I got Octopath. So
All
that for Steam.
All
so.
right. I got, so you see my little guy over here, my little
yeah,
Ewok.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a full-size Ewok cardboard cutout because my 3 kids are maniacs. So they each bought me a life-size cardboard cutout. And that's cool, right? A Star Wars fanatic. You can't see this wall, but there's a lot of Star Wars stuff up on this wall. Final Fantasy and Super Nintendo stuff behind me. But so they got me cardboard cutouts. Very cool. Not all 3 of them are Star Wars, though, because that would make sense, right? You buy somebody a couple Star Wars. No. I have my Ewok here, and then I have a 6'2" Bob Ross.
6'5" with hair.
Right. And then a little over 6 foot Chevy Chase from Christmas Vacation. So it is the most eclectic group of cardboard cutouts ever. I have no idea what I am going to do with all these, but my kids, they're maniacs. I love them to death. But yeah, pretty good Christmas. Pretty good Christmas. Yeah, so now it's 2020, so I guess we should get started with the news. So as each new year begins, we always do our predictions piece. Next week's show, we'll talk about our predictions for 2020. Those are still in the works. But this being the first show of the new year, it is time, Jason, to go back and give some scores on the predictions that we made for 2019. Now remember, most of these are made by Jason. He'll put a list together typically for things like this. He'll send it to all of us on the staff, so me and Q and Zach and Troy, whoever's around, and we will look at them, and if we like violently disagree or whatever, we'll have a debate about it. Maybe it changes what Jason, initially had there. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it just adds content to the piece. So Jason takes a lot of credit for these predictions, but he doesn't get all of the blame. So it's kind of
That's exactly the way it should be.
That's the way it works here. All right, so we're going to take a look at some of the ones that we made for 2019. Let me skip past our reviews for the other ones. Okay. So first up, these are the reviews for the 2018 ones. So games we'll play in 2018: Cryptic's Magic MMO, Daybreak's new shooter, Splash Damage War collaboration. Oh, I'm sorry, that was from the previous year, right? Yeah, we didn't get that.
2018, yes, that would be 2018.
Okay,
yeah.
all right. Where are the new ones here? How far down do I have to scroll through this piece?
Loot boxes.
Oh, here we go.
That's the first one.
Loot boxes in the U.S. will get regulated by the government or the game industry itself. And we're going to score these, Jason, on, let's say, a 1 through 5, with 5 being absolutely 100% nailed and 1 being totally didn't happen, totally missed it.
Tim and man, I already have this. I have like percentages, but okay.
Okay,
I've already written this part up.
Oh, yeah,
whatever.
If you have percentages, then let's use percentages.
All right, okay,
it's
okay,
you
okay.
and I. Q's internet was bad today. You and I could be flexible. We'll use percentages. Now, there's a few things I want to point out about the prediction. One is that loot boxes would be regulated. 2, specifically in the U.S. was part of the prediction.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3, by either the government or the games industry itself. So it didn't tie itself to legislation in particular. It tied it to overall regulation. Jason, where do you think you came in on this one?
I didn't break it up quite like that, but I think overall I gave it a 50% because there isn't regulation, but there was a lot of talk in the US, but also in a lot of other countries throughout the world. And the big thing that came up was when some people went in front of the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission.
Yep, Senator Maggie Hassan, I believe, of New Hampshire.
Right. And also there was, well, actually, yeah, okay, that's something separate. But yeah, that was the big point where then the big console makers, Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, said that they would require games to disclose their loot box odds by 2020. So that is the game by the games industry itself aspect of things, which was technically done as basically as a kind of threat from the government to do that, but it hasn't come to pass yet.
Yeah, it felt like a very hey, can we do the same thing we did when we did the ESRB pitch by the games industry? Still left an awful lot to be desired, as we're not going to break that down on this show. We've done it on previous casts when that news came out, or you can check it out on mmobomb.com. Just search for loot box, and I'm sure you'll find all the articles throughout the year. I think I agree with you, 50%. There was movement towards a type of regulation, no real legislation or anything. The FTC really wasn't all that gentle when they started looking at this. So I kind of agree. 50%, half credit, Jason, half a point.
All right.
Half a point. Now the next one.
Just to clarify too, I would like to note that you and Q agreed on that point. You agreed totally on me on that. So we all get half a point.
All of us get half a point. So right now, Jason, between you and I, we're tied.
All right.
Next one up. Shutting down in 2019. Now, we have on our predictions piece, as far as shutting down at some point in 2019, Bless Online and at least one former Try-On Worlds game. Remember Try-On Worlds, but purchased, all the assets were purchased by Gamigo, so there's some stuff there. We thought Atlas Reactor might be on the chopping block when it was not put in to some of the list of games Gamigo acquired. Defiance, another one. We even speculated at the time that Rift, although we didn't think it would close in 2019, wasn't very long for this world either. Jason, I think right away we could say the first one nailed it. Bless Online did in fact close in 2019. Bless Unleashed still to be released, still in different testing phases, but we didn't do so well on the Try-On World side of things.
Did you remember about Atlas Reactor?
Yeah, but that one really doesn't count. I mean,
what do you mean it doesn't count?
As soon as we saw the purchase, we were kind of like, that one might not even be part of the purchase. Does that really count as shutting down?
Of course it does.
Oh, come on.
What do you mean it doesn't count? It was a former trial. I think I even...
Yeah, but it was one that even when we looked at the sales documents, we were like, yeah, this isn't a thing.
Look. I think I even mentioned it in the old article. Let me see here. Shutting down. We even mentioned Atlas Reactor. So, yeah, it's certainly a candidate for shuttering, but I wouldn't be surprised if Defiance, it's also shown the door. I mentioned it there, and I don't hear you disagreeing then. So, yeah, no, that totally counts. 100%.
All right, where did Q and I fall? I'm pretty sure we both agreed with you on this one.
You disagreed on Bless, both of you.
Did we? No.
Because remember, you thought that it was going to be, you thought that Bless Unleashed.
Oh, that's right.
Because of that, they were going to keep it around.
Yeah, I thought they would keep Bless Online around until Unleashed launched because you don't really want the PR of your IP's name. That's right. So you get a full point. I only get a half a point.
That's right.
Oh, all right. So you're up 1.5 to my 1. Now we start getting dicey.
Mm-hmm.
Daybreak Game Company will experience some type of major upheaval. And yes, we were vague because we didn't really know what the upheaval would be. Whether it would be, hey, it was part of Columbus Nova, Renova, and Russian oligarch stuff, and thus would be subject to sanctions that the U.S. was issuing and would disappear? Was the company going to be bought by somebody else? Were the assets, the different games, going to be spun off into different companies? Because we had all kinds throughout the year of these different companies and patents and trademarks that Daybreak was filing for all these different company names. Like, were they going to offshoot a game to each of these companies? We didn't know what the hell was going on. Then PlanetSide Arena was in the mix in 2019, right? Came out. Didn't do so well in early testing, refunded a bunch of money, relaunched as free-to-play, ended up closing down at the end of the year anyway with full refunds issued there. So we weren't really specific on major upheaval. As a company, I kind of got to lean towards Jason that it really didn't have a major upheaval. Yeah, they had layoffs. A lot of companies do. Yeah, they had a game fail. A lot of companies do. To me, those aren't major upheaval type pieces like I think of when I hear that term. Where did you fall on scoring this one?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I don't think anything significant enough happened to them. It was a pretty quiet year in general for them. Just mostly just the one, the saga of PlanetSide Arena throughout the year. As you've encapsulated it all, being delayed a couple times, free to play, not free to play, and then free to play again, and I think it's actually still around now. I think it's actually shuts down like later this month. But yeah, not enough to qualify as major upheaval.
0 points on that front. Nobody gets any points.
Correct.
And nothing's going on with EverQuest. I actually installed EverQuest 2 last week.
Wow.
I don't know why. I think I was watching Nerd Slayer's Death of a Game videos. I love those videos, by the way. It's a great series. If you've never watched it, YouTube Nerd Slayer, Death of a Game. If you're into MMOs in particular, most of them are about MMOs. There's a couple that are about like Troika Games and some companies, but most of them are about MMOs. Great video series, and I think I was watching the death of the EverQuest franchise, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna jump into EverQuest 2 again. So I downloaded it.
It might surprise you for as snarky and as critical as I can be. I don't like watching like all the negative YouTube videos of here's why this game died or anything.
No,
like
his aren't. I mean, the title
Sure.
does kind of be like, well, that's pretty negative. His videos are a bit different from that
Even
aspect.
if
They're not just
clickbaity
sitting there
titles.
beating up the game. They kind of he looks at the development cycle, the good things, the bad things as they're going on, and it's more of an explanation on why did something die, not, hey, this deserves to die. They're really well done. I think you would like them. I particularly think that you would like the Lawbreakers one. You definitely, because you would just sit there. I can imagine you just sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Speaking of a game
Yeah.
that was announced free to play, then went buy to play, then went free to play when it was too late.
Yeah. Right. So no points on that one.
No.
Fortnite Save the World won't go free to play. Remember, we're talking about the PvE side, the original, the OG Fortnite, before Battle Royale took over the entire world. The PvE Save the World portion, you still have to pay for. So it'll be part of your launcher when you load Fortnite, but to play it, you have to purchase it. So Jason's prediction, and this is the one that I think we were contested the most, that Fortnite Save the World won't go free to play this year. And Jason took great pride on New Year's Eve, tweeting at me and giving me
At 9 p.m.
Yeah, like a
3 hours
3-hour
left.
countdown. Because I honestly thought there was no way Save the World doesn't finally unleash free-to-play in 2019. And sure enough, it did not.
Not at all. Nope.
What made you think this wasn't going to go free-to-play in 2019? That's a whole year of it already having needed to be free-to-play for a year or two at this point.
Because I'm looking at the priority list in the Epic office. So it's like, ooh, Fortnite Battle Royale. Ooh, the Epic Game Store. Save the world.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, why? I'm honestly a little surprised it's still even going. Like I'm not going to say this is my official prediction or anything, but it would not have altogether surprised me if they just stopped doing it.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. On maybe it just goes away at some point. Particularly when Epic did a reshuffle of resources and quickly ditched Paragon. Remember that game?
Yeah.
and shuffled their staff over to Fortnite and things like that. So yeah, we've kind of speculated on this show that maybe it never sees the light of day. The other thing that makes that a little more viable in our head than just guessing is just look at a series of patch notes anytime they're released. You have like 15 minutes of scroll down about updates to BR, and then you usually have like 3 bullet points on Save the World, if they're even included in some of the patch notes. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens with it in 2020. So you get a point there. I do
also
not.
agreed with me on that.
Yeah, Q agreed with you. So I'm still sitting at 1 point. You're now up to 2.5, and that puts Q at what, 1.5?
Yep.
Oh, boy. Final prediction. By the end of the year, everybody will know who Leu Technologies is. Now, we doing what we do obviously know who Leu is, a Chinese company that's kind of been getting tendrils in everything, most notably Warframe through purchasing portions of Digital Extremes. But they own one of their subsidiaries owns Splash Damage, and Dirty Bomb was a relatively well-liked game in its day. Also working on a Lord of the Rings with the newly formed Athlon games. So we predicted that, by the end of the year, most game fans out there will know who Leu is. Where did I fall on this? I think I agreed with you.
I have written that you both agreed provisionally if the Lord of the Rings game comes out.
Okay, and which it did not, so then that
No.
puts me down as I disagree.
Sure.
How did you score this? Because I still think I get the point here.
Yeah, I think I did not nail this one. Because, yeah, you're right. They did not quite break through. Didn't release any major game. Didn't, make any major sales or anything like that. I mean, they were partially purchased, 70% purchased by a Chinese mobile developer. They're working with Amazon for the publication and production of the Lord of the Rings game. So they're up there, but they could probably be at least another year before they become anything resembling a household name. And even then, now that I think of it, they're probably going to be like, I don't know how to put it exactly, because Athlon Games is the company that's technically
Right.
the company that's actually making Lord of the Rings. Of course,
That's
Digital
the name
Extremes makes
everybody's
Warframe.
going to know.
That's what people. Yeah, that's exactly what people know. You think of Guild Wars 2, you think ArenaNet makes that. You don't necessarily think NCSoft. So
Yeah.
it's that same kind of level removed. So maybe I jumped the gun a little bit too much on that one.
So that leaves you still at 2.5. By my tally, that moves Q up to 2.5, so ties you 2, and leaves me at a flat 2. So I lose, and you and Q tie for first place there.
Yeah.
But overall, so we had what, 5 predictions?
Yep.
And 2.5 points out of 5. Not too shabby.
Not bad. That's about what I usually get. I think that's what I had last year. Let me just see here real quick.
Yeah. I think maybe our view of Daybreak having some upheaval was very, very tainted now looking back at it with the whole Columbus Nova situation going on. We were like, okay, this company can't survive now at this point. We're just getting all kinds of conflicting information. Yeah, I don't know.
Actually, I had 3 out of 5 last year. Look at me.
I'm not very hopeful for them this year. I'll tell you that much.
This might be the year.
So next week we'll be reviewing our predictions for 2020. The piece will probably be up before that. If you want to get a sneak peek at it, make sure you're following our MMO Bomb on Twitter so that you can go ahead and take a look at the article. Before we leave 2019 in the past, though, it is time, Jason, to take a look at Steam's best sellers, particularly on the free-to-play side of business. How did it all shake out last year?
Pretty much. Excuse me.
Try not to die.
Yeah. I've been working on that the past few days. Shook out pretty much the same as it did the year before.
Yeah, not a lot of movement here.
Yeah, not really any at all. Like every game that was on the list in a spot last year was on that same spot this year. They're ranked it by 4 tiers. Platinum, gold, silver, and bronze. They don't rank them individually, like number 63 versus number 52 or whatever. But
right.
Everything stayed in its tier. Of course, we added a few games that went free to play, or in Destiny 2's case, went free to play and came to Steam for the first time.
And skyrocketed to platinum.
Yeah, not surprisingly there. Crusader Kings 2 also went on the list into bronze. And Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links is now a bronze game too, so good for that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, all the other usual contenders, they're where they were last year. Global Strike, Counter-Strike Global Offensive comes in at Platinum. Warframe and Dota 2 sharing the Platinum spot, along with the newcomer Destiny 2. Path of Exile sitting in the gold slots. War Thunder and Team Fortress in silver. They were silver the year before. You mentioned Yu-Gi-Oh! And Crusader Kings, World of Warships, Paladins, and Smite, all coming in at bronze, and they were bronze the previous year. Is interesting, obviously. Bronze contender in 2018, Bless Online, totally dropped from the ranking for
Yeah.
2019. Closing will do that to you. So, yeah, kind of interesting. Although there's plenty of money to be made, doesn't seem to be any challenging of the top dogs in the free-to-play
No.
market. They are what they are.
They're not screwing up, but I guess they're not like doing something special either.
Now, obviously, we should point out, if you didn't catch it when Jason teased this or started talking about this, this is specific to Steam sales. That's why you didn't hear names like League of Legends and other titles that you would expect to be sitting in gold or platinum as well. They have to be released on Steam. This is Steam only that we're talking about. So, little 2019 review. I think all in all, it was a pretty good year for gaming.
And I mean, as stable as it all was too, it's like I struggle to think of any really big time free to play game that apart from Destiny 2, other than like Apex Legends. What else came out that made a really big impact?
Yeah, not a lot. I mean, there was actually, I think 2019 was a pretty decent year as far as titles that open and close in that same year, more than any big splash title. Destiny 2, yeah. Apex Legends, yeah. I mean, you could argue Fortnite branching into other platforms throughout 2019 just continued to make it bigger and bigger. But that's not a new release. That's just a platform release. But 2020 is the year of Phantasy Star Online 2, as we all know, which is due to come out on the Xbox One this spring. Beta testing should start soon. I am signed up for it. You should be too. And then scheduled later this year for a Windows 10 release. But Xbox One initially the only launch platform. It's going to be the year of PSO2. I mean,
it's not even going to be on Steam, but it'll still make this list.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. No, it's not going to. All right, Jason, let's slide along here and talk about Magic Legends, because we did get finally that announcement at the Game Awards and got a little peek at a CGI trailer, so we really didn't know much. We speculated at the time because on some key terms that we were given on the new website, not a lot there at the time, but action MMORPG was mentioned, and we said we didn't know, does that fit more with the Diablo Path of Exile mold or more with the Terra action MMORPG mold? We have an answer to that question now. We've gotten a look at some classes. We've gotten a look at some gameplay. Credit where due. A lot of this comes from Game Informer. They have an exclusive with Magic Legends team this month, so it's going to be in their issue. And there's already a bunch of content online for it. So first up, we did finally get to see some gameplay, Jason, and it is ARPG style, isometric view, a la Diablo Path of Exile. A lot of people not happy with this right away. Twitter kind of got a little bit messy on this, in fact, not liking that it wasn't a third-person, behind-the-view typical World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy, MMORPG. Where did you land on this? What did you think when you watched the initial gameplay and found out it's more Diablo than World of Warcraft?
I mean, I'll admit that I'm only like, sort of here with my interest in the game, almost no matter what it is, because I'm so far removed.
I can't see where here is.
It's like around my middle part of my chest. Here,
okay, all right.
Here. So it's like, regardless of what it was, I was only going to be mildly interested. This only knocks me down maybe another, like down to my navel maybe a little bit.
Oh, so this knocks you down.
Yeah, I mean, I agree to the point that I'm more likely to want to play a third-person view kind of MMORPG thing than an ARPG. So it affects me to some degree, but I'm not so much that I'm not the type of person who's like, oh man, everything's got to be an MMORPG. I have to have this. It has to be, It's like, sure, there can be other types of games. There can be, because we already have something like a Torchlight coming out at some point, theoretically.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Torchlight
you got Torchlight,
Frontiers.
and of course Path of Exile is out there, and you mentioned Diablo and so forth. So having another contender in that arena, it's probably not a terrible move for them to try and do something on that level, and it makes a little bit of sense. Yeah, to try and obviously they still have to put in a world, they have to create the lore and so forth, which is to some extent it created. There's a very large amount of Magic lore out there, but I think it's a little easier and a little less of a job to try and do that with an ARPG than it is with a full MMORPG. So I get why they're doing it this way. I'm not upset by it. I'm not disappointed. I'm still just kind of meh about it, I guess is the way to put it.
I was okay with it.
Yeah.
To me, I love Diablo. I love the Torchlight 1, Torchlight 2, Path of Exile. I'm kind of iffy about Frontiers, seeing where it's going to go after they delayed it because they want to make some pretty substantial changes to it. I do think, however, it is risky. Yeah, you have the Magic IP. Yeah, there's a lot of eyeballs that are on anything with the Magic the Gathering name on it. That's great. But as you pointed out, Jason, this is going to be the year that we get Path of Exile 2. This is going to be the year that, probably we'll get some form of open version of Torchlight Frontiers. I can't imagine we escape this year without more information at minimum about Diablo 4. This is a space that I think 2020 is going to find really crowded for a new contender. Path of Exile fans, they can't wait for their stuff. Diablo fans can't wait for their stuff. Torchlight fans, yeah, maybe you're not as excited for Frontiers as the other two, but I think this is a bit of a gamble for Cryptic Studios and Perfect World Entertainment. I was okay with it. I don't mind it, but I can see, Jason, to your point, the disappointment factor of, if you're going to let me be a planeswalker, man, let me get down there with the camera and see my character and doing all these awesome things where really, besides gear, your character's figure really doesn't matter in an ARPG.
I kind of get the paradox of it. Like, I agree with what you say about it being a crowded ARPG market this year. But let's suppose it was an MMORPG. Like, that was what they announced and showed off for sure. And yeah, on some level, okay, that's cool because everybody is going to talk about, oh my God, it's a Magic MMORPG.
Yeah, I'm
It's
stunned
be
there
all over the
hasn't
place.
been one.
The problem is, what have we seen for almost every MMORPG that's come? Especially, not that there's been when's the last big AAA one that came out? Like Elder Scrolls Online.
Bless.
I mean, that's the thing. That's like, if it were, the hype would be up to here. It would be higher than Epic's priority on Fortnite. Yeah, it's like, and I think it would be so inevitably disappointing. It would never be everything everybody wanted it to be. So
I can see that
on some level, it almost seems like less of a risk.
I do think that they could have done themselves some better favors here with some of the B-roll that Cryptic Studios supplied to Game Informer. It was very Diablo. I mean, it really was. The environment looked Diablo. The enemies were the typical ghouls and skeletons and stuff like that.
Wasn't that every ARPG?
Right.
Except for Torchlight.
Yeah.
Torchlight can be a little nicer, but
apparently in Magic Legends there are much more diverse, looking areas. This was the typical graveyard ghouls, zombies type area, and the Game Informer staff did mention, if you watch their podcast or if you watch any of the gameplay videos, particularly one of the class reveals, which we'll talk about in a second here, they did talk about, hey, there are other areas and they're diverse looking and things like that, because we're gonna walk the different planes of Magic the Gathering. Now, the only two areas we know about so far which were revealed were Shiv and Benalia, both on the plane of Dominaria, however you prefer. So we don't know about any other what planes we'll be walking on yet, but we do know we'll be on other planes. So there is a huge opportunity for diverse-looking environments. But here's some B-roll, and it looks like Diablo. Yay, it's a cemetery, and it looks like Path of Exile. Yay, it's a cemetery, a dark, dead forest, and it was, oh, come on, guys. Now, from an ability standpoint, you will pick a class in Magic Legends. And we do have 2 of those revealed as well. We've got the Mind Mage, which Game Informer's video, and it is posted on mmobomb.com as well, has some actual gameplay with the Mind Mage, a ranged DPS type class. We also have revealed the Geomancer, who's a bit more physical, melee-oriented, using fire and earth spells. It looked like a kind of a combination between like a tanky type class or a powerful melee DPS with the ability to use like earth shields to protect themselves and things like that. We got information, Jason, that party size for different things will be 3. Kind of, even if you look at the art, kind of looks like tank, DPS, healer type look to it. Now, as far as gameplay goes, for the Magic the Gathering fans, cards are in the game. Your abilities as a particular class and your deck are separate, though. So you're not going to be a Mind Mage locked into playing blue-white or something like that. You're not going to be a Geomancer locked into playing fire and whatever you want to play, fire and green, whatever. Your deck can be fully customized. It's 12 cards, and you have on screen at any given time 4 cards from your deck. Those cards are either summons or creatures that you then pop as abilities, and then the next card on your deck is put into that slot. So you're constantly cycling through these 12 cards. And that deck is customizable. So if you like doing a lot of spells, then you stack it with particular summons that you like. If you like the idea of resurrecting a bunch of things or summoning different beasts and creatures to fight with you on screen, then you stack your 12-card deck with that. If you want to heal, then you can do it. If you like AoE, then you stack your deck with that. I think it's kind of neat. I do like, Jason, how if you play Magic the Gathering, there are things that you're just going to be able to look at the names down there and know, what these cards do, or get an idea of that's probably like an AoE water spell because that's what it does in the card game. But you don't have to know Magic the Gathering to play this or to have the cards be meaningful. You just might have to read the ability 1 or 2 extra times versus a Magic the Gathering player. I do think it kind of strikes a nice balance in using the IP and making it feel genuine to the IP without alienating people that don't play Magic the Gathering.
Well, I mean, Magic is almost I don't know what the word is. It's an analog for a lot of other games and how they do their stuff. Like, oh, green is the color of the forest monsters or whatever, and red is the fire, black is the death people spells, whatever. So it's a sort of thing it's kind of ground into our collective consciousness already. So yeah, to some degree, if I make a black red deck, I'm going to be burning stuff and raising corpses, which sounds about right. It sounds like something it would be like that in a lot of other games that I played as well. What you're talking about, though, that's the one thing that gets me, though, is the cycling through your stuff, having your abilities change. That's going to be weird. Like, I watched a little bit of that in the video and seeing them cast a spell, and then it makes something else go in there. So it's like you're going to have to know your icons. Granted, they have the names of it down there, and the UI is still in alpha. It's still in development. But that to me is going to be tough. It's not going to, because you know how it is when you play something. If you got whatever MMO, you're like I have these buttons, these skills on my 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons. Okay, I cycle through my 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 1, 3, 4, 1, 2.
Well, you do have core class abilities too.
Sure.
And those are going to always be there. Those are the class's abilities that are separate from the deck.
Sure, but sometimes my or in this case, it was showing controllers. Sometimes my B button is going to be something. Sometimes it's going to be something else. I just wonder how much that's going to screw with me if I try to play.
I don't think so, because I think with a 12-card deck, and from what I could see, we weren't allowed, the Game Informer team was not allowed to take or show the actual deck building screen, so I don't know what kinds of limitations are on it. Like, obviously in Magic the Gathering, a playset of a particular card in a deck is 4. Well, with a 12-card deck, are you allowed to have 4 of the same card, in which case you up the consistency? Are you only allowed to have 2 of the same card? Are you not allowed to have duplicates at all? There's information like that I personally don't have yet. But I would think there are ways to make the decks as consistent as possible. And then there's the whole synergy fun of it, Jason, where if I have this ability and this ability that cause this debuff and this buff, I think there's a lot of room for that while still giving the feel of, hey, it's Magic the Gathering. Drawing cards is a random chance game, but you're only dealing with 12 cards here. Fire 3 abilities, and you're going to get the ability that you're looking for back if you're in that type of scenario. I kind of dig it.
What you call fun is what I call, God damn it, where's my fireball? I need a fireball now. See, I agree. It's a Magic the Gathering thing, but it's not an ARPG thing. Imagine playing Path of Exile, and like half the time your
But
favorite skill isn't on your bar.
right, but isn't
So,
that when you play Magic the Gathering, you draw and you're like, where the fuck is my fireball? Where's my
oh,
lightning
exactly.
bolt? Come on.
Yeah, but again, like I said, my Path of Exile example, it's like great.
Yeah,
So
I don't think the
I don't know.
randomness of 12 cards is going to be as big a deal breaker for me as it sounds like it could be for you, pending seeing how it's actually implemented and how much consistency you can make that deck of 12 cards. We did get to see about 10 minutes of gameplay with the Mind Mage. Looked fairly typical. They were doing like a mini adventure. They described it as a similar to like a rift. You had 10 minutes to walk around and cleanse these different areas. Then a boss would spawn. One thing I really did like, Jason, was they kept referencing the director. Did you see this portion?
I don't recall that.
So in the gameplay video that we posted today on MMO Bomb from Game Informer's piece, they kept talking, the Game Informer team kept talking about what they called the director. And apparently that's the name Cryptic Studios has given like the AI in the background. If you are just slaughtering things, it will auto-tune on the spot and start spawning more enemies or stronger enemies or enemies that are stronger against the strategies, that you're trying to do. It will make the rift, mid-rift or mid-event, they're not called rifts, that was just the comparison they made. It will make the event that you're doing more challenging if you're doing very, 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 very well on the spot, not the next time you run it or anything like that. So they were talking about one example was they got all three of them together. All three of them coordinated their decks to just work together in a way that they just plowed through stuff. They said by the time they got to the end, there was so many things on screen because the director had changed the game and started throwing more at them, and they were in turn generating more things like corpses that resurrected and fought for them. That it did get more and more challenging, and the rewards scale up with that too. At the end, they got a bunch of cards as rewards, and what was cool that you could see on the screen that some of the cards actually gave them shards. And what that meant was they said that the shards were for cards they already had. It would give them shards instead of a card, and that in turn you could use the shards to make your version of that card stronger and stronger and stronger. So essentially, you've got progression on the character front, you've got progression on the individual card fronts, you've got the gear progression that naturally goes with this type of game. There's a lot going on here that I'm very, very interested in. But we haven't talked about the elephant in the room, Jason. It's Cryptic Studios and Perfect World Entertainment, and I think that bears thinking through, doesn't it?
Yeah, how's the money gonna work? Especially because, as we posted a video from a guy who did the little summary of everything he knows about it. I believe he said, what was his exact words were, if I can find it here. He loves Magic the Gathering, but traditional CCGs are the quote literal definition of a pay-to-win game.
Yeah, and that's a quote to Force Gaming, who did a very, very cool video before this Game Informer stuff broke, just kind of listing some of the things we knew. I'm still interested. I'm not more or less interested than I was 2 weeks ago. I am more, happy about some of the features. I really want to see monetization because that is a huge concern here. So I think I'm still on, I was on about a 7 out of 10, and I think I'm still on, maybe I went up a little, maybe to a 7.5 over what I've seen. I want to see the other planes. I want to see the other classes. We've got slots for them on the website, on the official game site, so I'm sure they're coming soon. And we got beta, hopefully not too far into 2020. And I'm already signed up, Jason, so I can't wait.
I can wait. I got patience.
All right, before we head over, do the weekly bombs and sign off, free-to-play is dying, right? I mean, this was the year that free-to-play, the last 2 years, free-to-play is dying. Turns out, maybe from a revenue standpoint, that's not quite true, Jason.
Well, thanks to mobile, but whatever. But yeah, Super Data did its end of the year.
I like the cough. Sorry.
That was not actually. That was actually like legit. That wasn't me like being sarcastic. That was just actual
Oh man, it
throat
was
issue.
brilliantly timed by your body.
Sorry.
Even your body knows super data.
No, no, seriously. Uh,
All right, take a drink.
now I'm conscious of it.
All right.
All right, so yeah, Super Data, cough, cough, did its year in review for 2019. And the big thing they said was that 80% of digital gaming revenue in 2019 came from free-to-play games. Now, of that, you can go to see the article on the website to see what the chart is, because it shows a chart there, digital game revenue 2019. And it has, yeah, okay, you're going to show it good. 64.4 billion for mobile. Getting it up there. That's not it. There you go. Yeah, the big orange thing, 64.4 billion mobile. And then a much, much, much smaller chunk, but still 21.1 billion free-to-play PC. So that's not mobile. That's free-to-play PC. That's playing your, Apex Legends or whatever on your PC or whatever, Fortnite, whatever. And then the next, actually, if you want to go to the next largest chunk, it's premium console at 13.8. So then you're getting into the paid games, but that's console games. Then premium PC 5.2, pay-to-play PC 3.3, and then this really tiny chunk of free-to-play console games at 1.6. So yeah, even though the large chunk of the 80% claim is mobile, there's still a lot, free-to-play PC still covers
Yeah, that's huge.
a pretty significant chunk. In fact, if I'm going to add it up, 13.8, 18, and 21, it's almost the same as all the paid games. Especially if you toss in free-to-play console, get the 1.6 billion from that. Yeah, free-to-play PC and free-to-play console are about the same as paid games on console and PC. So it's about 50-50 there. So still pretty big, even if you discount mobile.
Yeah, not surprisingly, Fortnite, the big dog for
Yeah.
2019 at $1.8 billion in revenue. Holy hell.
Which,
1.8
honestly, it's not
billion.
that big of a lead over the other games on that
No,
list.
it's not that big of a lead, but it is a huge number. Dungeon Fighter Online coming in second. Honor of Kings, a MOBA published by Tencent, and League of Legends duking it out for third and fourth. Candy Crush Saga, so we move into mobile when we hit number 5. Pokemon Go on in the 6th spot. Crossfire, Fate Grand Order, Game for Peace, and Last Shelter Survival rounding out the top 10 free-to-play games by revenue for 2019. So, yeah, I guess not dying. But if you look
Unlike
at...
me.
Yeah, right. Cough, cough. Let's see if 2020 keeps it going.
Well, yeah, I mean, free-to-play console is going to explode in 2020.
Right. Phantasy Star Online's coming to Xbox One.
Damn right.
Yeah, I know. You don't need to tell me, brother. I still pinch myself. Is this true? Is this true?
I still got to go back and look at
It's
that
just-
article every now and then, make sure it hasn't been taken down.
Right. It's just an okay game, by the way. I'm being hyperbolic, of course. I do love it personally.
But an okay game you've been looking forward to for 7 years becomes amazing. Right?
I am. Before we sign off, StarCraft 2 esports scene in for a big, big change. And what's really funny personally on this one is that two friends of mine and I were driving in the car last Saturday to go play some Final Fantasy TCG somewhere. And we were talking about StarCraft, and one of them said, well, that's not even an esport anymore. And the other two of us were like, yeah, of course it is. It's still a big esport in this area, and you got this series. And then literally this week, hey, the StarCraft 2's WCS, yeah, we're closing that down. After 7 years, it's closing it down. Now, it doesn't mean that StarCraft 2's going to entirely disappear from the esports scene because the WCS is being replaced with the ESL Pro Tour StarCraft 2, the DreamHack SC2 Masters, and they'll host like 6 international tournaments and some weekly events, and the prize pool for this year is looking to be a total across all events of like $1.9 million. But officially, Jason, the WCS is no more. Is that a big deal?
Probably not. I mean, if they're replacing it with, I guess actually a pair of different organizations, basically.
Yeah, one will take 4 events, the other will take 2.
Yeah. So it's just a rebranding, I think, just a little bit of shuffling of the deck. so forth. So
I think from a player standpoint, that does open it up a little bit, though.
yeah.
Because they have more events, there is better chances for you to qualify for certain things. But from a visibility standpoint, I do think that that's a net negative. There is something, there is that panache, right, of your game, your company's game having its own dedicated esports scene. And, you know, it was big news when Heroes of the Storm wasn't going to do stuff anymore, when Hearthstone was testing the waters on do we really need this type of competitive play from their fans? I mean, that stuff generally wasn't taken as good news. Sure, maybe StarCraft 2 is smaller than the audience for Hearthstone, of course, but I still think there is that panache that goes with your own dedicated esports team and that or scene, and that is no more for StarCraft 2.
I mean, you mentioned that too, and a lot of people are saying this is the make or break year for the Overwatch League. So a lot of Blizzard esports are sort of in flux and needing to make sure they have a good 2020.
I would agree. I kind of think it is a make or break year for Overwatch. Let's slide over and do the weekly bombs. Jason, you're up first.
I'm gonna give an A bomb to Audrey. She's the person who gave me this cold. So
okay.
Yeah, because Monday night. I'll also A bomb to her because she's really good at Mario Kart.
Like, we talking Mario Kart on the Switch, or are we talking old school
We were playing on Switch.
Okay.
It was Mario Kart 8, and she is my nephew's wife's sister, which makes us absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
But yeah, we were all having a good time playing Mario Kart in his place in Denver over the weekend, and well, she was having a good time. We were all sitting in back, hoping to get a blue shell, but. Yeah, and then she got sick on the last night, and I think she carried it over, at least to me. I should see if she gave it to my nephew and his wife. But
I'm going to give a dub bomb to Demi. This is an upcoming TCG, CCG game. It's on Kickstarter, or is about to be on Kickstarter. I'm not sure if they actually published the Kickstarter page yet. I do think it's kind of interesting, some of the things they're trying to do. Yes, there's a lot of similarity with Magic and Hearthstone and all that type of stuff. It is a CCG, after all. However, I do like that they're trying to open up the economy, make it just, a short number of matches. You play like every 10 matches, you're going to get your new card packs. And the ability to trade cards between players, which I've always felt has been something missing from that environment. I don't know if the game will be any good. I don't have any experience with it. I do like where they're headed, so I want to give them a dub bomb at this time, with the reservation to be able to change that if I get my hands on it at some point and it's total crap. From the viewers, we go to Pablo Ucan. Since you're covering... Oh, by the way, a lot of viewers wished us, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, all that stuff. Thank you. That was very kind of you. We hope that you had a nice holiday season as well. And one viewer said that we're too old to do this anymore, Jason.
I kind of agree.
I'm
feeling it right now.
I will never get too old to talk about video games. I don't care. That's why we bring Zach Sharps in, right? Pablo Ucan says, since you're covering free-to-play games, maybe you can give a shout-out to Epic and other game sites such as Humble and Twitch Prime that give away games for free. Epic has been surprisingly good with the quality and frequency of their giveaways. Pablo, I would refer you to mmobomb.com, where we do, in fact, write usually about Epic Games free offering every single week. We had more over the last 20 days or so because they were running that 12 days free game every day. But typically every Thursday or Friday, we have a piece going up about what their free game is. We do cover notable Humble bundles, and we even do PSAs for odd things, like when Sega is just giving away a bundle of 6 of their classic games. You go here and claim it here. We do cover all that type of stuff on MMO Bomb, so stay tuned to the site. Follow us on Twitter. You'll get the links for all of those when we publish them. Go ahead, Jason.
Volazar says, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. You guys should do a calendar for 2020, but only Jason appears in it wearing a bikini and unshaved. Oh, yeah.
No.
Now, what part of me is unshaved?
No. Other viewers commented, Jason, that you should have a no-shave 2020.
No, that would not be popular with the, yeah.
A no-shave 2020.
She prefers me shaved.
What part? Never mind.
Yeah.
I just had to throw
What
your
part
own
he
joke
asked.
back at you. Shaka Zulu XP says Jason Winter eating the popcorn was funny. I don't know, Shaka Zulu, if I would count that as popcorn.
Maybe that's why I'm sick.
Maybe.
Maybe it's been 2 weeks later, 3 weeks.
Maybe. All right, finish
That
it
damn
off,
popcorn.
Jason.
Blade Slasher. This will be a weird one. Lots of games die or get recycled in the free-to-play market. Wow, that's grim.
Yeah, it's kind of grim. Grim
Well, his
outlook,
name is
Blade.
Blade Slasher. I mean, it's pretty probably.
None of you cared about the question of the week. That's all right. You had the holidays and everything. But I do ask you this week, now that we have more details, and presumably we will have more between now and next week's show, now that we have more details about Magic Legends, are you more interested or less interested than you were before in the game? Let us know why in the comments below. Make sure while you're there to give us your weekly bombs, D bomb for something good, A bomb for something bad in the world of free-to-play gaming or just in the world in general. And if you have questions or comments for the panel, let us know. Jason, until then, next time, where can everybody find you?
On Twitter at Winter Informal, streaming at twitch.tv/JasonWinter someday when I feel better. And yeah, that's it, I guess.
You can find me on Twitter right there at magicman1. Give me a follow there, but more importantly, while you're there, follow at MMOBomb so we can tweet at you with all the latest news, interviews, first look videos, free-to-play casts, free-to-play weekly, giveaways, and so much more. Welcome to 2020. It's sure to be exciting, and we'll be with you the whole way. Stay safe. We'll see you on the servers.